Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead.
I'm gearing up for politics. Well, the real campaign, where I pay the 30 pounds or whatever it is, starts when the Prime Minister announces the big election.
So regular visits in January, or you going to wait till later?
No, I mean, once he this big deal I'm having here on the 27th or whatever, January, is the first of 3 big events I'm having here. I'm going to go on talk shows and do all that kind of stuff. Election will either be in November, December next year, or maybe January the following year. When Sally and I will move to not Westminster, but to London part-time. And I personally don't understand how the members of Parliament can do a good job living up here and going down there. Because most of them don't go. I mean, they have no money to buy a fucking house down there. You know, when we looked at the record of the parliamentarians from Scotland, it's non-existent. They don't even, well, 1 or 2 of them have brought bills forward, but most of them don't even vote. Why nobody brings this up? I don't, you know, I'm gonna make a scene about it. You know, this asshole's been in, you know, and until they censure me, you can say asshole, you can say fuck, you can say cunt in Parliament. You can't call a person a liar. That's it. Well, you know, I'll be censured more than anybody. But based on the 2 focus groups we've had, exactly the same information from both, and I presume the big meeting we're going to have here on the 27th of January, it's not going to change. I had 2 brothers come up to me at the last deal. Mr. Peña, you know, we've never voted. He's 53, his brother's 48. Never voted in their lives. You run, we want to be a part of your campaign, we'll vote. Most people here don't vote. And the irony is, Squire Guthrie in 1297, that's Squires before you become a knight, left this right here where we're sitting to go to QLA to convince William Wallace to come back to fight the English. Squire Guthrie. That picture where we were just sitting behind Tremaine was the first equivalent of the Chancellor of the Exchequer for Scotland. He was the first finance guy. So but in the old days, the Guthries, they either turned you to religion or they chopped your fucking head off. Okay? Which I can relate to that. But so Scotland, the Guthries have been together for, you know, 500-600 years. And I'm not pretending I'm a Guthrie. I am Laird Guthrie because I live here, but I'm going to stir the pot of shit, and we'll see. I know what the outcome is. I don't want to be too braggadocious, but short of somebody shooting me or something, I mean, I need 17,000 votes.
Out of how many?
That's to win the seat.
The total, what is the total?
Oh, there's 60,000 people in Angus.
So 17 out of
but,
60.
But 17,000 won it for the SNP guy, and the Conservative guy, 13,000 votes.
No, but that means...
House of Commons.
No, House of Commons.
But that means there are 4,000 floating and 13,000 hardcore. The 13,000 hardcore is the one that needs to shift.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to rent a bus. You know, remember Brian QLA rode that bus around, you know, when he was trying to get elected in London. The SNP, in their skullduggery, they bought a bus like that, and right now it's sitting in the police station at Glasgow. We're trying to buy it now. It was a squandered 105,000 pounds. I'm going to go all through Angus with signs like Elon Musk said, "Go fuck yourself." I mean, you know. And when I started the first financial planning department on Wall Street in 1972, I made speeches from Bangor, Maine to the Keys, from San Diego to Washington State. I made 200 speeches, and I showed up places there was nobody there for me to talk to, and I had people throw shit at me. I've been at Kiwanis and all kinds of various events. And about the first 100 or 120 speeches I made were not too good, more or less your quality of public speaking. And then the last 60, 70, 80, I began to be a powerhouse. And so I know how to talk to one person, or I know how to talk to, 1,000. But these guys don't talk to anybody. I mean, nobody. And, when my staff here, that are many of them are S&P loyalists, because they don't know anybody. They really think this William Wallace shit works. Depending on who you listen to, of course, they don't want to hear the government numbers. In 2021, the UK government, under Boris the baboon, gave Scotland 96 billion pounds. The S&P collected 66 billion pounds. So there were a 30 billion pound shortfall. And I think they say that the running story is the Brits, the English, stole it. That's not true, but there are 30 billion deficit government here. And when they say that they can go, the EU wants some, what are you smoking? Give me some of that shit so I can get high with you. The EU doesn't want you. I mean, Scotland. I mean, there's 60, 70% of the people that are in Parliament there's nothing wrong with being a shopkeeper. There's nothing wrong with being a teacher. There's nothing wrong with being a doctor. But the doctors are probably more trained to be in Parliament if they're in the healthcare area. But we've got, farmers. Nothing wrong with being a farmer, but they're not qualified, and most of them are uneducated and naive. That's just it. And so I'm willing to take 1, 2, 5 in debates, but then they Google fuck me. And if you thought Trump was brutal, you ain't heard fucking anything. I mean, I'll rip your fucking eyes out on the debate forum. I'm articulate. You can hear me, unlike you guys. I project. I'll fucking rip their heads off and shit down their necks.
Sir, just a quick announcement. So if you guys want to say something or to ask a question, could you please use one of the mics? There's one here, one over there, and last 2 over there. Thank you.
Okay. And I've gone out of my way to meet the Lord Lieutenant, which is the King's representative here in Angus. I've gone out of my way to try to contact these people. I've gone out of my way. I've actually met with the heads of the Chamber of Commerce, and they don't want to talk. They don't want to talk. So there's no doubt in my military or civilian mind what the outcome's going to be. I don't want anybody's money. 4 political parties have already offered me money. There's no backroom deals like you're used to. And my background or success, whatever you call it, with Siemens and all the big corporations I've dealt with, will put me in good stead. I know how to get shit done. I said that I will bring £1 billion to Angus. I'm absolutely positive I can do that. You'd think with 67,000 voters, nobody's even asked me, how are you going to do that? Anyway, it's not going to be as easy as shooting fish in a barrel or taking candy from a baby like it is what you guys are doing. But, of course, I have a different experience level. Whether I was made for this or not, I don't know about that. But I've been offered 4 times to run for office in America. 4 times. 1963, when I was the article that you've heard or seen in the pavilion, where I was voted, or not, vote's not the right word. I was baptized as the richest Hispanic in America at that time. They wanted me to run for governor. Then in 3 times more, the last time, from Governor Connolly, the former Secretary of Treasury that got shot with Kennedy, and Governor Hugh Carey, the former governor of New York. And I passed them both times, passed by, because I was doing something else. And so now, will be essentially in my 80s, I'm gonna do it. But I mean, 40 years ago, I was the white hope or the Hispanic hope, and they said that, I could be president. I'm not so sure that's true. But I'm going to change this place. And this room that we're sitting in, which is one of the oldest rooms, they've been around 500 years. So I'm going to give them something to talk about. Questions? Comments? Yes, sir. Trey. Well, I won't call Trey sir, but I didn't know who it was.
Was there much uproar when you moved in here with the locals?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did they try to drag you out?
You mean like if it was a black man or something?
Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe I buy one down the street from here.
Okay, well, that's fine.
And will they drag my black ass
We
out?
had a black nanny named Ruth, who was the personal assistant to Joshua Gabor before we hired her. And she was the only black person in this county at the time. She looked like Wilma Rudolph, the famous black Olympian sprinter from the 60s. And to date, I mean, there's not many colored people up here. But they didn't dislike me because I had a colored assistant. They disliked me because I was an American. Because, when I bought this place through Sotheby's, the sale agent lied and said, it's like the 40s here, Mr. Peña, the 1840s. And they weren't lying about that. It was, nothing's changed up here that I can remember. We've got the same fucking potholes in Forfar that we had 40 years ago. But I've stood the test of time, and I put millions into this place, and we've done charities, and we've done all that stuff that they're not required of you, but if you're, a kinder, gentler human being, you do. We've done all that stuff. And now I want to make the government accountable, which, goes over like a turd in a punch bowl. But I'm going to have some fun, as Sally would say. Less seminars. But until I become a minister, I can still work having a second job. Which I don't consider this with you a job, but they would consider it a job. So I will continue to do this. And then, but when I become a minister, I'll have to decide, which I don't have to work, so I'm not worried about the income. And but eventually, unless I start a different party, I will affiliate with a party. Right now, my affiliation is closer to the Conservative Party, not the Liberals, or certainly not the Greenpeace or any of these other parties. But they've certainly wanted to be part of my my parade. It's not like I'll keep them. Question?
Yeah. When do you think there would be a market for a Hispanic president in the United States?
If he was a Democrat, big. If he's a Republican, not big, not so big. And since the Hispanic vote tends to be Democratic, but the wealthy Hispanics tend to be Republicans. Another question. Sir.
The reason I'm at this hardcore is because when I saw your one-day seminar announcement, I genuinely thought this was going to be your encore. I thought you were going to announce your retirement.
Well, I've already announced it. I'm out of business, not in 18 months, but a little more than 18 months. And so it's time. I don't want to, well, I'm never going to be slowery like that, but I want to leave it at the top. But I've been at the top a long time. But whether I have another hardcore, I don't know. I'm certainly, Sally and I, well, you know, we got a lot of things to do. And when you have no budget, as Sally would say, and anything's possible, I mean, there's only, we've done just about everything we want to do, other than go to space. Yeah.
Can I use your hyperbaric chamber tonight?
Huh? That'd fix you. Talk to Sally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to Sally. Yeah. So I have that kind of shit. Yeah.
Can I use your gym tonight?
No. No. It's not likely that he can break the hyperbaric, but we've had people drop dumbbells and shit, and that's why our insurance won't cover it anymore. Same reason we're not up in the game room. We have a state-of-the-art game room about 30 feet above us. The games, you know, the horse shit that probably you play, the kids play, snooker, but there's a staircase, a 50-foot staircase, I told some of you the other night, that comes down, that you fall down, and there's a rope that you're supposed to hang on to, but you don't. But I've carried down, you know, a few 300-pound tubs of shit down that, and my legs aren't strong enough to carry a 300-pound tub of shit anymore. Plus, our insurance won't cover you. So that's why we don't allow anybody. And we don't allow anybody in the gyms anymore because we've had, you know, some people hurt themselves. You know, although we have a Smith machine where you don't need a spotter to do bench presses and shit, but somehow you choke yourself with a Smith machine. I'm not sure how the fuck it happens, but
I mean, the people that come to the seminar, that makes sense.
yeah, I mean, you know, they wind up choking themselves. Fuck. When we used to have horses, we were giving seminars. We used to be able to ride the horses and shit like that, and you'd fall off and break your arm. And so now it's just, you know, we're happy that you don't fall down the stairs. But during the hardcore, you know, as you see the staircase has all these flowers and shit on it. It's easier for you to grab it when we don't have that shit on there, when it's just plain during the regular seminar. We've had all kinds of shit happen here. We had maybe 5 or 6 good boxers. Amber did a good job. And the guy didn't really give her any quarter. We had a little Vietnamese girl years ago and a little Vietnamese guy. And I told the little guy to take it easy on her. So they're sparring around, and she knocks him on his ass. So he looks up at me as if to say, and he did, and he beat her up pretty good. But Amber got knocked down 2 or 3 times. And she jumped back up. The best boxing match we ever had was between 2 women that both boxed. They knew what the fuck they were doing. But most of the guys, they come out hell-bent for leather, and they're out of gas by 2 minutes. And of course, now we've added a second round. But we have, you know, some of you guys, until you get here, I want to the death. 5 5-minute rounds to the death. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know? You know, that's the same kind of bullshit that you probably think about the cold calling. But I mean, everybody's got a plan until you get knocked on your ass. And of all the martial arts, I boxed until a few months ago when I tore the ligaments in both of my wrists. I hit the heavy bag too hard. So they still haven't healed. But anyway, I have a professional guy who trains me, who is 155 pounds. He dances around me. It's hard for me to catch him. But it's there. It's a lot of fun. What else? Yes, sir.
Yes, it's not a question I want to ask you, but it's more than I want to tell you that I'm thankful and I'm grateful.
You're welcome.
It's been a 3-year ride. The first time I've been here, and I just want to share some thoughts I had until now. I'm really grateful for Mrs. Peña and you that we can be guests here. But I also want to share one thought I had after leaving the first time. Today we are pretty pumped up. Everybody is motivated. Everybody wants to go out and wants to conquer the world. But after leaving here tomorrow, as you say, we have to get back to trenches. We have to get back to war. And as I encountered many times, you have sleepless nights. You have to face fear. Sometimes there's so much pressure, you don't even know how to stand it. So even either you are born to do this, or you're trained to do this, or you are both. I'm thankful that I'm born for this, and I'm thankful you training us, standing up the next day and going for it. I'm very grateful for it.
You're welcome. Guys, I mean, thank you.